Chosen one, listen to me. You are dangerously behind. Not in the way you have been told, and not on the thing you have been measuring. You are behind in a way that has no word inside the language you were handed, which is exactly why you have carried it for months, without ever saying it out loud to one single person. Stop scrolling. Put the phone face down where you cannot watch it light up. Stop doing 3 other things while this plays. Stop apologizing for how long any of it has taken. Sit up. Listen. Walk away in the next 4 minutes, and you will make Monday the same way you made every Monday before this one. Same room, same math, same result. Stay with me to the end, and you walk out of here carrying one sentence, the exact sentence that was already spoken over you before you pressed play, and you will know precisely what you are behind on. It is one thing. It is not the thing you think. What is happening to you is not failure. It is a reading taken with a broken instrument. You were never built to catch these people. You were built to stop running. The tightness that sits across your chest when you open your messages in the morning is real. The noise that starts in your head before your feet even touch the floor is real. The distance between you and people who used to finish your sentences is real. None of it is imagination. None of it is weakness. All 3 are symptoms of one single thing, and I am going to name that thing before this is over. The last 3 days took something out of you that you have not named yet. You handled it. You handled it well enough that nobody thought to ask. That is the part that costs, and that is the part nobody bills you for until later. You have opened a page you had no reason to open, just to see how far along someone else is. You have rewritten a message 4 separate times, and then sent the shortest version of it. You have said the word fine to a person who deserved a longer answer. You have written a plan on paper that you already knew you would not begin on Monday. And you have been awake at 3 in the morning running numbers that never come out even. Not money numbers, year numbers. How old you were when you assumed this would be finished. How old you are now. The gap between those 2 figures has become a room you live in. Here it is, and I will say it once. Without decoration. You are not behind on your life. You are behind on one thing, and you have been paying for all of it. The opposition is working overtime on you right now, and there is exactly one reason for it. It has seen the version of you that stops comparing, and it understands that this version cannot be steered. A person who is racing can be pointed in any direction at all. A person who has stopped running lifts their head and sees the actual road. That is what is being defended against, and the defense has been expensive, and you have been paying that bill in sleep. Heaven measures distance, the enemy measures speed. That is why every honest instrument in your hands says you are closer than you have ever been, while every borrowed instrument says you are falling further back by the week. Both readings cannot be true. One of those instruments does not belong to you, and you have been carrying it since you were young enough to believe it was yours. Within the next day, the thing you have been bracing your shoulders against loses its grip. Not because it was defeated in a fight, because you stop feeding it the one thing it lives on, and it cannot survive on anything else. You chose to keep your word in a season when breaking it would have cost you nothing. You chose to stay decent in a room where cruelty would have been faster. You chose to keep showing up for something with no evidence, no audience, and no applause, and you did it on a body that was already tired. There was a moment this week, and you know which one. You were standing somewhere ordinary, a kitchen, a parking space, a hallway between 2 rooms, and something in you went very quiet and said a single word about your life, and you pushed it down and kept moving because there was somewhere you had to be. You thought that quiet was resignation. It was not resignation. That was the first honest reading you have taken in a year. Resignation goes silent because it has given up. That went silent because it had finally stopped arguing with a number, and a mind that stops arguing with a number is a mind that is about to be able to hear something. So here is what I am going to do for you, and I am going to be exact about it. 7 things are going to be spoken over you before this message ends. 7, not 7 tips. 7 things that will be said over your life in the order they are meant to arrive, and you will say each one back after me. You will feel one of them land before I am finished saying it. That is the second thing. And the third thing is this. Somewhere past the middle of this message, you are going to understand why you have been running, and the reason is not the one you would have guessed, and it is not out there. That is all I will say about it now. Do not move. Leave in the next 2 minutes, and you leave without the part that had your name written on it, and the ordinary tragedy is that you will never know which part it was. Here is the lie you have been sold, said plainly so you can look at it. The lie is that the distance between where you are and where you should be is a distance you can close with effort. That is why you are exhausted. You have been sprinting at a wall while a door stood open 8 feet to your left, and everyone who ever loved you has been shouting encouragement about the wall. You are not a person who fell behind. You are a person who was measured wrong and then agreed with the measurement. Stay with me. We are only beginning. There are 2 clocks running on your life right now. The first one you can see. It is made of other people. It is made of the friend who bought the house, the cousin who finished the degree, the person from school whose life scrolls past you looking finished and lit. That clock ticks in comparisons, and it has one cruel design feature that nobody warns you about. It never stops adding new hands. Every year, it finds new people to measure you against, so the gap can never close, because the gap is the product. That clock was built to keep you moving, and it does not care where. The second clock you cannot see, and it has one hand on it. It does not measure you against anyone. It measures one distance only, the distance between you and the thing you were made for, and it has been closing that distance for years using material you did not know counted. Every long night counted. Every relationship you walked out of instead of destroying counted. Every time you did not become cruel after being handled carelessly, that counted double, and nobody was there to log it. Give this idea a name, and carry it out of here with you. The wrong clock. Because from this moment on, when the tightness arrives in your chest, you will be able to ask one question that changes what happens next. Which clock just spoke? If it named a person, it was the wrong one. If it named a distance, it was the true one. The wrong clock only ever knows how to say one word, and that word is later. The true clock only knows how to say one word, and that word is closer. That is one. That is the first of the 7 things being spoken over you today, and it is this. You are not late. You are being timed by something that does not use their numbers. Now stay in that seat, because I want to hold something in front of you before we go on, and then I am going to set it down and leave it alone for a while. Over the last several years, something was found in research laboratories that most people who care about the things we are discussing right now have never been told about, not because it contradicts anything sacred, because it came from a direction almost nobody in our world was watching. A small group of neuroscientists, led by a doctor in New York who has spent more than 20 years on this single question, found something about the way the human mind was designed that explains an experience spiritually sensitive people have been having for their entire lives without ever being handed a word for it. Something fundamental enough to trace back to a Nobel Prize, and yet so simple in how you would actually use it that it sounds almost suspicious the first time you hear it. I am going to tell you what they found later in this message, and I am going to tell you all of it. But right now, hold one question in your hands and do not put it down. What if the fog you have been calling age, or laziness, or lack of discipline was none of those? What if something was taken from you? Now let me solve the thing the title of this message promised you, and let me do it directly. You feel behind. Name the symptom precisely, because precision is where relief starts. The symptom is not sadness. The symptom is a low, continuous hum of arrears, a background sense of owing that follows you into rooms where nothing is owed. You feel it at weddings, you feel it at dinner, you feel it in church. Now let me remove the wrong causes, including the ones you have already accepted about yourself. You are not behind because you are undisciplined. Undisciplined people do not lie awake calculating. You are not behind because you lack faith. People without faith do not stay for a message like this one. And you are not behind because God is withholding. Withholding requires a decision, and no such decision was made about you. Here is the real mechanism, and it is not spiritual. It is psychological, and it has been studied. A deficit is the most powerful motivator the human mind has ever found, which is precisely why the mind will manufacture one when it needs to move. Somewhere back there, you learned that you only take action when you are behind. So a part of you now maintains a permanent, carefully sized deficit because that deficit is your engine. You are not failing to catch up. You are running a debt on purpose because debt is the only fuel you were ever taught to burn, which means the exhaustion is not the price of falling behind. The exhaustion is the price of the engine, and that changes what it means. You have been reading your own tiredness as evidence of failure. It is evidence of enormous force applied through a badly designed system. You are not weak. You have been magnificent on the wrong machine. So take the authority back, right now, while you are sitting there. You built that engine. A child built it, in a house where being ahead was the only way to be safe, and that child was brilliant to build it. You may thank it, and you may retire it. You are allowed to move without shame as the fuel. Nobody ever told you that was legal. I am telling you now. Say this once. I am not behind. I am carrying a debt I invented. Say it again, slower, and once more, this time as something you are deciding, not something you are hoping. Something is moving while you listen to this sentence, and you will recognize it by Thursday. The work is continuing. There is a sentence. One sentence spoken over you, in the singular, and it was already said before you found this message. Everything I am doing right now is walking you toward the place where you can hear it, because a sentence can be spoken over a person for years and land on nothing. I will tell you one thing about it now, and one more thing at each turn we take. Here is the first. It is shorter than you think. Everyone assumes the sentence they are waiting on from heaven will be long, an explanation, a full accounting of the years. It is not long. It is short enough that you would walk past it, and that is precisely why you have. Now put your feet flat on the floor, both of them, even if you only do it in your mind. Nothing is being asked of you for the next 90 seconds. There is nothing to learn here, nothing to remember, no instruction hiding at the end of this paragraph. I want you to sit inside one fact and let it be true without doing anything about it. You are still here. Most people who opened this left in the first 3 minutes, and they did not leave because they were busy. They left because staying still is the single most expensive thing you can ask a person who believes they are behind to do. Stillness feels like the gap widening. You stayed anyway. That was not the algorithm. That was you, and it was a decision, and something in you made it before I finished the sentence that asked for it. The weight you woke up with today is not the weight you are carrying right now. I am not predicting a feeling for you. I am telling you a measurement changed, and your body is allowed to be late to it. Feelings arrive late. They always have, and that is two. The second thing being spoken over you today is that stillness is not the gap widening. Stillness is the only position from which the true clock can be read at all. Now we go deeper than the machine, because you have a machine, and we named it, and naming it will help you tomorrow. But there is a reason you have never been able to simply put it down, and that reason is a good deal older than the machine. Somebody handed you a schedule, not a plan, a schedule with dates on it, and you did not write a single line of it. By this age, you should have that. By this age, the money should look like this. By this age, the house, the person, the title, the settled feeling that the adults in your childhood all seemed to have, and almost none of them actually had. You absorbed that schedule the way a room absorbs temperature. Nobody sat you down and read it to you. You simply came out of that house holding it, and you have been late on somebody else's calendar ever since. Now go and look at whose calendar it is, because when you actually examine the dates, they belong to a specific person, and that person usually turns out to be one of three. A parent who was frightened, a sibling who was praised for speed, or a version of yourself at 19 who had never met a single real obstacle and set the dates accordingly. None of the three is qualified. The frightened parent set the dates from a shortage. The fast sibling set them from a temperament that was never yours. And the 19-year-old set them in complete ignorance of what the road was going to require, which is not a criticism of the 19-year-old. It is just true. You are not failing your life. You are failing an unqualified person's estimate of your life, and you have been doing it with real grief. That is 3. The third thing being spoken over you today is that the dates were never yours, and you are permitted to hand them back to the person who wrote them. Take it back. Not eventually, in this sentence. And there is a word for what you are actually standing inside, and it is older than every schedule anyone gave you. In the Greek of the ancient world, there are 2 ways to speak about time. One of them is the word kairos. It does not mean an hour. It does not mean a duration. It means the appointed moment, the specific point at which a thing is meant to happen and cannot usefully happen sooner. Here is the piece that is verified and that almost nobody has been shown. In the Greek text of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, both words appear in the same sentence. The verse opens by saying the vision is for an appointed time. And then in the very next breath, it says that if it seems to delay, wait for it. Appointment and delay, sitting in the same line, written by the same hand, describing the same event, which means the delay was never proof against the appointment. In that language, they are 2 features of one thing. Something can be exactly on time and still feel unbearably slow to the person waiting inside it. And the text does not treat that as a contradiction, because it is not one. Now bring it all the way home. Every single thing you have called proof that you were passed over is, inside that sentence, listed as a normal feature of an appointment being kept. You have been reading the delay as a verdict. It was a description. We are at the turning point. And here is the second thing about the sentence that was spoken over you. It was said in the singular, not over a category of people, not over everyone in your situation who happens to be listening. One person was addressed. And grammar is not a small detail when you have spent your life assuming that anything good being said was probably being said to a room. Stop here with me for a moment. Nothing new is coming for the next stretch. Let your shoulders come down off the back of your neck where they have been living. Let your jaw go. You have been holding it. You have probably been holding it since a specific phone call, and you have not put it down since. There is nothing to work out here. No takeaway. I am not going to ask you for anything at the end of this paragraph. In a message about being behind, the most radical instruction available is the one that says, nothing has to be caught up in the next 90 seconds, and nothing does. You have been on for a very long time, years in some cases, the kind of on that does not switch off in sleep, which is why the sleep has not been repairing anything, and that is 4. The fourth thing being spoken over you today is that rest is not a reward you have not yet earned. Rest is equipment. You have been trying to do the work of your life without it, the way a person tries to drive a long road at night without headlights, insisting that the problem is the road. Now hear this exactly as I say it. Some of you are sitting there feeling nothing at all right now, and you have already begun to build a case against yourself out of that. Do not. This does not wait for your feelings to approve it. It is happening whether your body has caught up to it or not. You do not need to feel a thing for a thing to be true. Numbness is not disqualification. Numbness is what a system does after it has been carrying alarm for years without relief, and it is the last thing to come back online, not the first. The people with the most stored grief go quiet first and thaw last. And now I have to tell you the real reason for all of this. And it is not what I let you believe for the first half of this message. You think this is about time. It is not. It has never once been about time. Go one layer down with me, because underneath the schedule and underneath the engine there is a mechanical fact, and it explains something you have wondered about for years without ever asking anyone. The sentence that was spoken over you has been spoken for a long while. That is not the problem. The problem has never been transmission. The problem is reception. Something can be said clearly, continuously, at full strength, and land on an instrument that is only running on part of itself, and what arrives is not silence. What arrives is worse than silence. What arrives is a faint signal that you can tell is there and cannot make out, which is the exact experience you have been having in prayer, in decisions, and at 3 in the morning for years. That is why the fog matters. Not because fog is uncomfortable, because fog is a receiving condition. You have been trying to solve a receiver problem with more sincerity. More sincerity does not fix a receiver. It only makes the person turning the dial more desperate, and desperation narrows the very thing you need open. So the question stops being, how do I catch up? And becomes something entirely different and much more answerable. What is the actual condition of the instrument that has to hear this? And can that condition be changed? Say it with me and then we move. The instrument can be repaired. Now I want to close a loop that has been sitting open since early in this message, because I told you about something found in a laboratory, and I told you I would come back to it, and I want you to know why I waited this long to do it. I waited because what they found is not information. It is a solution, and a solution is worthless, actually worse than worthless, when it arrives before a person understands the exact shape of the problem it solves. Handed too early. A solution becomes one more thing you are behind on. You now understand the shape. You did not 30 minutes ago, and that is 5. The 5th thing being spoken over you today is that you were never asked to hear better. You were asked to be repaired, and there is a difference. And the difference is the whole of your last decade. Now, before anything else, I need you to have the thing that does not cost anything and does not require anyone, because you should walk out of here holding something, whether or not you ever do one other thing I describe. Here is the whole of it, laid out plainly, in the order it goes. Your sense of being behind is real, and it is a reading. It comes off an instrument built out of other people, and that instrument was designed so the gap can never close, because the gap is what it sells. Underneath that instrument sits an engine you assembled as a child in a house, where being ahead was how you stayed safe. That engine runs on deficit. It works. It has produced most of what you have. And it is why you have never been able to enjoy a single thing you built, because an engine that runs on deficit has to keep manufacturing the deficit in order to keep running. Underneath the engine sits a schedule that belongs to somebody who was not qualified to write it, and you have been serving that schedule with real grief for years without ever once auditing the author. And underneath all 3 of those is one physical fact. The instrument that is supposed to receive the answer has been operating on part of itself, so the answer has been arriving as a signal you can sense and cannot resolve. 4 layers. That is what has been happening to you. Not one of the 4 is a character flaw, and not one of the 4 is a verdict from heaven, and that alone should change how tomorrow morning feels. Now here is what you do with it, starting tonight, and it is small, and small is the point. When the tightness arrives, ask one question before you do anything at all. Which clock just spoke? That is it. If the answer names a person, you are holding the wrong instrument, and you may put it down without a ceremony. If the answer names a distance, stay with it, because that one is telling the truth. Do that for 4 days, and something specific happens that I want you to watch for. The tightness stops being a verdict about your life and becomes information about which instrument you picked up. Verdicts cannot be acted on. Information can. That is the entire difference between a person who is stuck and a person who is moving, and it has never been about willpower. You have been given permission to move without shame as your fuel. Most people go their whole lives without ever hearing that sentence said out loud by anyone. One step remains before we go to the last thing, and I want you to be sitting up for it. Because everything I have described to you so far assumes you can act on it, and acting on it requires the very thing that has been compromised. That is the cruelty of the loop you have been inside. The clarity required to escape the fog is manufactured by the equipment that the fog is sitting on, and that is 6. The 6th thing being spoken over you today is that you were not lazy about the work. You were doing the work with a tool that had been quietly reduced, and you never checked the tool because nobody told you a tool was involved. Breathe once here before I take you into it. All the way in, all the way out. Nothing is required of you in this paragraph either. Now let me tell you what was found, because I said I would, and I am going to give you all of it, and then let you decide with a clear head. In 1981, a scientist named Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. not for a theory, for what his work demonstrated about the structure of the human mind in laboratory conditions repeatedly. What his research established is that the two hemispheres of the mind are built to function as one synchronized system, not as two departments taking turns, one instrument running together, and when it runs together, it produces a state that has a name in the research literature: whole brain activation. Everything people describe as flow, as sudden clarity, as the answer arriving fully formed while you were doing something else entirely, comes out of that synchronized condition. Here is the figure that stops people, and I want you to sit with it rather than rush past it. In studies of creative capacity, 98% of small children test at what researchers classify as the creative genius level. 98 out of every 100. By adulthood, fewer than 1 in 1,000 still measures there. Read that as what it is. It is not a story about talent being rare. It is a story about something nearly universal being lost, on a schedule, in a pattern consistent enough that you can chart it. And it is not a spiritual failure, and it is not yours. It is the accumulated effect of a way of living that trains one side of the instrument relentlessly, hour after hour, year after year, while the synchronization that ties the two halves together goes unused and quietly falls out of practice. Your capacity was not taken by an enemy in the night. It was worn down by a modern day, repeated for 30 years. You did not lose your edge. Your edge was disconnected from the other half of itself, and you have been trying to run your entire life on the fraction that remained, and calling the shortfall a character problem. A woman in California described what her life felt like before any of this. She had tried the practices, prayer, journaling, the meditation apps, everything her community recommended, and several things it did not. She believed every word she was saying. She simply could not feel the reality standing behind the words, not in her body, not in the texture of an ordinary Tuesday. 10 days in, she said something cleared. A channel that had been blocked was suddenly open, not because she had finally tried hard enough, because the receiver had been repaired. A man in Texas described the same shape from a different side. Years of holding things together for everyone around him while his own interior life went thin. He said prayer had started to feel like speaking into a wall, and he was certain the problem was him. 2 weeks in, he woke up and described his mind as running on all of what it was supposed to run on. The fog he had lived in so long that he had stopped registering it as fog was simply gone. That is because of what the team led by Dr. Daniel Barone spent years building. They took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology, the kind of whole brain activation protocol that exists inside specialized medical settings and essentially nowhere else. And through years of compression and refinement, they reduced it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes. Headphones. Eyes closed. That is the entire physical requirement, and there is no second part. They call it the genius switch. It is not a meditation app. It is not a sound designed to put you in a pleasant mood. It is a targeted auditory sequence engineered on the Nobel Prize research of Dr. Roger Sperry to reconnect the two hemispheres and restore the synchronized state that was standing default in you at 8 years old. And if you have already tried the audio products that promise this and found them empty, Dr. Barone addresses that directly, because most of the people who come to him have. Those products target a fraction of the picture. Sound alone is incomplete. What his team built targets synchronization at the whole brain level through a multi-layer protocol, which is a different mechanism entirely, and a different mechanism produces a different category of result. You do not meditate with it. You do not repeat anything. You do not journal afterward. It works underneath your awareness, which is the only reason it fits inside a life that is already too full. And if you miss a day, nothing resets. Now let me say the part that matters more than the mechanism. The genius switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who has understood something in the last 30 minutes. That heaven prepared the promise and also prepared the mind that has to walk into it, and that the second half of that sentence was never optional. It is for the person who has been sincere for years, who did the work with no audience, who kept returning to the call when the evidence refused to cooperate, and who is finally willing to stop treating the fog as a personal defect and start treating it as a thing with a specific address. Most people who hear this will scroll on. They have accepted the reduced version of their own mind as permanent, and they will defend that decision for the rest of their lives. You are still here. That is not coincidence. That is the exact kind of persistence this was built for. Now the numbers, plainly, because you deserve to see the whole shape of it. Colleagues who reviewed the finished protocol told Dr. Barone it would be an extraordinary value at $500, and that was not flattery, it was a comparison. In-person neurofeedback runs about $300 an hour. A home unit runs $7,000. That is the market for restoring this, and that market has always been closed to ordinary people, which is precisely the problem he set out to solve. It was not released at 500, not at 200, not at 100. It went out at 49. And on the page where he made it directly available, there is a further $10 off, $39. Once. Lifetime access, and it arrives in your email the moment you have it, because there is nothing to ship. 4 bonuses come with it at that number. A guided visualization from a top-rated creator on the Calm app. A grocery guide identifying the common American foods that drive fog, with shortcuts that save more than $100 a month. A text more than a century old on attracting provision, which sells on its own for around 20, and a printed sheet of the 5 habits that build a future, made to go on a wall. And every dollar of it is covered by an unconditional money-back guarantee. Listen once, listen 80 times. If it does not do what it has done for more than 18,000 people, you write in and the entire amount is returned with no conditions attached, which means the only thing you can actually lose here is the 8 minutes. $39 against $7,000 is not a discount. It is a different order of magnitude, and the reason it exists is that he cut the middle out so that people who could never fly to New York could still have the thing. One more thing worth naming. If you search the open platforms for anything with a similar name, you will find tracks. His team examined them. Almost none had any neural sync technology in them at all, because the barrier to labeling a file is essentially zero. The mechanism is the entire product. The direct page is the only verified source, and that is where the link below points. If your spirit resonates with what has been described, the link is in the description and in the pinned comment. You can read every detail on their page before you decide anything. Now hear me clearly, because this next part is the part I actually care about. The tool does not replace God. The tool does not obey for you. It does not surrender for you, and it does not close a single door on your behalf. What heaven is doing in you is not conditional on any object in the world. But a repaired receiver gives what heaven is doing far more of what it was designed to land in, and that is the entire claim, and I will not stretch it 1 inch further. And for the chosen one, who felt something move when the mind was mentioned, that door stays open in the description. It is a small step. Small steps, taken from a clear mind, have changed entire seasons. That is the last time I will mention it, and everything that remains in this message belongs to something else entirely. Remember what I promised you at the start. 7 things, and then one more thing you would understand about why you have been running. We are almost there, and the last one is not what you are expecting. Here is the last thing I know about the sentence before you hear it, and then I am going to stop describing it. You are closer to it now than you were when this message started. Not because time passed, because the thing that had to be quiet in you went quiet somewhere in the last half hour, and it was never the sentence that was missing. The sentence spoken over you is 4 words long. You are not behind me, not behind. That is the first piece, and it is a statement about position, not about pace, not me. That is the second, and it is the one that undoes the schedule, because the only distance that was ever being measured was that one, and on that measurement you have never once been late. And there is no race in it anywhere. Look at the sentence again. Nobody else appears in it. There is no field, no other runners, no leaderboard, no cousin, no person from school. 4 words, And the entire crowd you have been performing for is simply absent from the only sentence that was ever actually said about you. That is 7. 7 is what was asked for, and 7 has now been spoken over you. But I said 7, and there is an 8th, and it was never mine to promise. This is the part you did not expect, and it is the reason for everything. I told you it was the wrong clock. I told you it was the borrowed schedule. I told you it was the engine you built as a child. And I told you it was the reduced instrument, and every one of those 4 is real, and every one of them is repairable, and you will use all 4 tomorrow. None of them is why you kept it. You kept being behind, because behind is the only place where you have ever been allowed to be unfinished in front of people. As long as you have not arrived, nothing can be judged. The book is not bad, it is not done. The life is not small, it is early. Behind is not a failure state for you. It is a shelter, and it is the only one you were ever given. There is a name for that arrangement, and I want you to take it out of here with you. The catch-up agreement. The terms are simple, and you have kept them faithfully. You agreed to remain permanently in transit in exchange for never having to stand still and be seen as exactly what you are. And you signed it, and you signed it young, in a house where being seen as exactly what you were had a cost you were not able to pay at that age. Now hear the release, and hear it immediately, because I am not putting a new weight on you 30 seconds before the end of this. You did not fail. You signed something in a season when signing it kept you safe, and it worked. It did the job. That is why it lasted this long, because unlike most of what you carry, it was never useless. And the agreement ends the moment it is read out loud, which is what just happened. It has no power in a room where it has been named, because the entire mechanism depended on you not knowing it was there. There is no ritual to perform and nothing to renounce. You saw the paper. That is the whole of it. You are permitted to arrive, unfinished, visible, exactly as you are, on a Tuesday, with the work still in progress and your name already on it. Sit with that for a moment, because something in your chest just moved, and I want you to let it, and I want you to notice what it did not do. It did not accuse you. That is how you know it is true. Accusation is the other voice, and the other voice has never once in your entire life told you something that also set you free in the same breath. Now let me tell you what tomorrow actually looks like, because a revelation you cannot use is entertainment, and I did not come here to entertain you. You will wake up and the hum will still be there. It will. Do not read that as failure. Read it as a body that has not been informed yet. The agreement ended tonight. The nervous system finds out over weeks. That is normal. That is how every real change has ever worked in a human being. And the people who quit are the ones who expected the body to get the memo first. What will be different is that you will have a question, and the question will work. Which clock just spoke? Ask it before your feet hit the floor. Ask it when the message arrives that puts the tightness back in your chest. Ask it in the car before you go into the building. And on the 3rd or 4th day, something specific will happen. You will catch yourself about to sprint. Some small decision, made fast, made out of arrears, made to close a gap that only exists on the borrowed instrument. And you will see it happening while it is happening. That is the whole victory. Not that you stop, though you will. That you can see it at all. Say this once. I am allowed to arrive unfinished. Say it again, slower, as something you are deciding. You are still here. Nearly everyone who started this is gone, and not one of them left because the message was too long. They left because staying still was too expensive, and you paid it, and you paid it for the better part of an hour, with a body that has been tired for years. That was not the algorithm. That was you. That was a person deciding, repeatedly, in silence, with nobody watching and nothing to prove, which is the only kind of choosing that has ever actually changed anyone. And that is the last reframe I will give you tonight, so take it carefully. You have spent your life waiting to be told that you were chosen. You have been the one choosing this entire time. Every night you did not go bitter. Every morning you got up on a body that was not rested. Every time you stayed decent when the situation gave you full permission not to be. Those were not the things you did while you waited to be picked. Those were the picking. So hear what is true about you now, in the present tense, as a matter of record and not as encouragement. You are not behind. You were measured on an instrument that was never calibrated for a person like you, by people who were frightened, using a schedule written by someone unqualified, while carrying a shelter you built at an age when you needed one. All four of those are named now. Named things do not run the house. You are not waiting for permission. Permission was given before you were born, and you have been standing outside a door that was never once locked, checking your watch, apologizing to the door. And what you called your wasted years were construction with the scaffolding still up. You did not delay anything, you qualified for it. May the hum go quiet in you. May the arrears you have carried into every room, into weddings, into ordinary Tuesdays, into rooms where nothing at all was owed, be lifted off your chest and left in the place where you first picked it up. May your mind be repaired, and may it be repaired all the way, and may the clarity you get back be spent on your own life first, before it is spent on everyone who has grown used to receiving it from you. May you be given back the thing that was taken quietly, one ordinary day at a time, for 30 years. Now go and do the small thing, not the large one, the small one, the one you have been putting off because it seemed too minor to count against a gap that size. Do it this week. Do it badly if that is what it takes. It counts on the only clock that has ever been reading you, and that clock has been reading closer, 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 all the way through the years you thought nobody was watching. And when the tightness comes back, and it will, ask the question, which clock just spoke? Then put down the one that lied. You are not behind me. That was said before this message found you, and it is still being said now, in the singular, over one person, in a room where the crowd you were performing for does not appear at all. Go, live like someone who already has the answer, because you